Joining us now is New York Times investigative reporter Suzanne Craig and former federal prosecutor Michael Zeldin. So nice to see you both. Happy Friday. Michael, let me start with you and the big hearing on Tuesday. Trump expected to attend the appeals court arguments on the question of presidential immunity. Again, this is the D.C. election interference case. And this is just after his team sought to hold the special counsel in contempt for filing motions ahead of deadlines and continuing to provide Trump's team with discovery. So again, they're turning over evidence as quickly as possible, and his team doesn't like that. They seem to be going with this strategy either to try to get the whole case thrown out or delay until after the election by any and all means possible. How do you see it?
Well, I see it that same way. The immunity case is the most important case because if the court were to find that Donald Trump is immune from criminal prosecution because of actions he took while president, that throws out most of the cases that are against him federally and perhaps in the state courts as well. So that's a critical case. And I think Trump has an uphill battle to win that case, but you just never know. It's before the D.C. Circuit at the moment, who has ruled already against Mark Meadows, who argued immunity in his case and lost. So that's the biggest case that is going. After that, the big case that is going to be pending is, can Trump be removed from any state ballots? The arguments are complex on whether or not this 14th Amendment, Section 3 applies to the president. If it does apply to the president, whether Congress has to have enacted legislation to implement it. All of those things could get this stuff tossed procedurally before you get to the fundamental question of, was this an insurrection and did Donald Trump incite it? So there's so much stuff, Anna, going on here. Right. And then, of course, you got the civil cases in New York. There
are a lot of cases, a lot of layers to each individual case. And Michael, it does sound likely, very likely, that the Supreme Court will have to rule on this case about presidential immunity, the others, including the Colorado ballot eligibility question we were just discussing. Should Justice Thomas have to recuse himself, given his wife's role in efforts to overturn the 2020 election results?
So appearances matter. I'm not sure that he has a technical, legal conflict of interest that would require him to recuse himself. But this court has been suffering in the political realm among Americans to think that they are acting in a non-apolitical way. And so if Clarence Thomas stays on the case, it does add to this impression that the court is a political body, not an apolitical body. So while I don't think he has to, I think probably he should.
Suzanne, Trump is also expected to attend the closing arguments in his New York civil fraud trial this week. At least next Thursday is when that picks back up. You've been following this case very closely. He's raged against this case, the judge, the attorney general. But has his team actually put forth any real defense as this trial nears its conclusion?
It's interesting. We're heading into closing arguments on Thursday next week, and it's been a long few months. In their case, it's been difficult for them because, just to remind readers, this started, or readers, I'm a newspaper reporter, viewers, but this started in October, and even before it got out of the gate, the judge had a ruling saying he already found them liable. So really, most of this trial, there's still a few counts outstanding, but most of this trial, what they're doing is they're setting the table for what the potential damages might be. And Donald Trump's looking at fines, penalties of up to $200 or even more, $250 million, and severe restrictions on his business that could essentially put him out of business in New York. I expect this to go to the appellate court, and that we're going to be looking at this case for a long time. But he is, from his point of view, he's rightly very upset about it. You know, his money, I always think of it, it's sort of his lifeblood. He really cares about this business, and it's, you know, what's left will go to his children. There's inheritances involved. There's a lot at play here. Right. And I think we're going to see a pretty fiery Thursday. He's come to court before. There's one, he decided not to testify at the very end, but I expect him to be sitting there on Thursday to see this sort of to its finale.
You're right, though. You hit the nail on the head about why it matters so much. It's because it matters to him. It is his essence, right? This billionaire businessman brand that he presents, as well as his livelihood, as well as his legacy with his family. Before we go, Suzanne, I do want to ask you about this new report from House Democrats alleging Trump received $7.8 million from foreign governments while in the White House. Trump has assets all across the world, right? He stepped back from his businesses while he was in the White House, but was it ever really clear-cut as far as a separation?
Well, he did step back from it, but he still owned it all. And I think now we're seeing this story, I got to say, really took me back to 2015 and 16 and 17, because one of the big concerns when he came into office, rightly, was how is this going to be managed? He's got all these properties and he has got ties to foreign governments. And it was a big issue in his hotel that he doesn't own it anymore, but the old post office and hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue, became a very popular spot for a number of people who wanted to curry favor with the president's stay, including now we're seeing some, granular detail about foreign governments that stayed there. I always remember when we were covering this, my colleague Russ Buettner, who covers the finances with me, he always used to say, you don't really need to give Donald Trump a bribe. You can just book a bunch of hotel rooms at one of his hotels and not show up, and he gets the money. And this is really a big concern. I see it. We're seeing just a fraction, I think, of potentially what the Trumps made from these properties while Donald Trump was president. There's 4 properties involved. We're not even looking at Mar-a-Lago. And, Russ Buettner and I, my colleagues, when we got Trump's taxes for a period that included the period that this report is looking at, we saw, memberships at Mar-a-Lago spiked. He made a lot of money off of that. And this report doesn't even include that. So I think we're just at the beginning of really trying to understand exactly how much money Donald Trump made while he was in office.
And of course, this report only covered 2 years of his presidency because Republicans shut down the investigation and the efforts to get more information when Congress was looking into it once it changed hands and the chamber became Republican dominated. Thank you so much for your time and your reporting, Suzanne Craig. Michael Zeldin, thanks so much for your expertise and analysis.